Having a look at John McDonald's article for us today from flownews24.com.au, and there's been, with International Women's Day on Monday, a call for the closure of the gender pay gap. It's a topic of discussion that would seem to indicate that when it comes to the political divide, there is still a divide amongst what people think on this topic and how they foresee what should be the case. And John writes about this with the preface that Anthony Albanese had announced that a new Labor policy was designed to ensure equal pay for women. He said that Labor would ensure that companies made full disclosure of the pay gap between men and women in their employment, and where there was not gender equality, the companies would be named and shamed. On that same day, the Grattan Institute released an analysis of the 2020 recession on men and women. A study found that Australian women copped a triple whammy. According to the Grattan Institute, they lost more jobs than men, about 8% of women at the peak of the crisis compared to 4% with men. They shouldered more of the increased unpaid work, it said, with supervision of children, and also the learning remotely that had to be done, or homeschooling as was the case, and taking on extra work more than men, according to the report. They were less likely to get government support. JobKeeper excluded short-term casuals, who in the hardest hit industries were mostly women, according to the report. The Grattan Institute acknowledged that things have improved recently because of the snapback of the economy that has exceeded all expectations. However, the gender pay gap, it says, continues at about 14%. And that the Grattan Institute says the solution to the problem mirrors what Ross Garnaut in his book Reset says, that increasing disposable income for women through government supplements is the answer. So far, neither of the major parties has adopted those sorts of policies. They are, to a large degree, coming from the socialist angle, and Labor says it's going to put a significant investment into the role for working women and free childcare. This is quite interesting because business will be lukewarm, clearly, to Labor's policies on equal pay. The Business Council of Australia's CEO, Jennifer Westacott, said that what was needed to ensure equality was pathways for women to rise to senior management within companies, and without these, even naming and shaming would achieve very little, and probably would have some businesses just pulling out completely from employing women into senior management. This is the kind of things that you make threats, you don't get the right outcome. And since the COVID-19 pandemic has almost ended migration of skilled workers, additional workers will have to come from within Australia, and one can see that we're already short of people in the workforce. There's a lot of highly paid skilled jobs in the form of metal trades. We're also seeing a lot of very, very good opportunities with welding, with diesel mechanic work and so on. And look, with the status of these work, there's no reason why women can't join men in these high-paid fields. Frankly, these are the ones where if you talk to people about the current building crisis, there's carpenters and there's sheet metal workers. There's a whole range of jobs that women can be able to do and lift their incomes accordingly. They are the biggest paid jobs. Mining at work, some high-paid jobs there, but quite in the context of women and men, a lot more men working in those living away from home-style jobs. So there's a whole range of issues that come up here. I think if we try to get equality by being unequal about how you then treat people in terms of business and who gets the job, if you're unequal about a person winning a job because you're trying to get a certain quota of women into work, well, then that's not fair either. The best person should get the job. I think everyone agrees with that, and if you don't, then I'm not really sure how you foresee the whole range of services and things that we do provide in a capitalist system. If you want to move away from that system, then you need to be thinking about socialism. And quite frankly, I don't think that the orientation towards that, even with the threats from Anthony Albanese, is the way to go for our Australian workforce, least of all for women who can take some really high-paid jobs in a whole range of areas that men traditionally have been taking. It just gets down to who wants to put their hand up and do the training and get trained in these roles to become equal in pay.